They're either going to take your word for it, which probably not. Because you can go to Panda Express or Buc-ee's and make $100,000. You can.
Same, whether it's a water claim or a hail claim or wind claim or whatever it is,
exactly.
It has to always be the same.
Adjuster TV. Get your head in the claim.
So you think you could just wait until a deployment comes along to apply for this or that license? Think again. When staffing major storm events, these days IA firms will search their adjuster rosters by who has that license. So if they have a huge storm in Minnesota and you don't have a Minnesota license, you're not even going to show up in that search, which means you're not even going to be called. Fact, the busiest adjusters have the most licenses. Get a discount on your next licenses at AdjusterPro.com using Adjuster TV at checkout. If somebody wants to make a career out of being an independent property adjuster and they want to make enough money to make it worth it, right? Because you can go to Panda Express or Buc-ee's and make $100,000. You can, right? And you don't need a college degree, you don't need whatever. What's the one thing that an adjuster or somebody who wants to make a career out of this can do to make Panda Express money? Or Buc-ee's or whatever, making six figures, $100,000 a year, 160, 200, 300.
300. Yeah. A lot of our guys are doing 250 a year, 300 a year. But, Matt, you and I have talked about this so many times.
Yeah.
Get educated, get a process, and do that same thing.
Yeah.
When the school was open, our whole thing was about muscle memory, and that whole muscle memory was about process.
Yeah.
Right? You've got to do the same thing every time.
Yep.
We have little red pens. So every time when they had their scope notes, if they put in RFG 300, they put a check mark next to that because it was on their scope notes. And if you do that, at the end, you look and you say, I don't have a red check mark next to this thing. Chances are it's not on the estimate.
Yeah.
Right? But you have to do that every single time.
Yeah.
And I used to love it. It's like one of my favorite things in school is I would jump up and down and, where's your red pen? Where's your red pen? and yell, and then everybody would pay attention. The next day, everybody would be like, I got my red pen.
Yep.
And,
so I heard an interesting quote the other day, which kind of encapsulates this, I think, and that is that the human brain is great at coming up with ideas, but it's terrible at holding on to them. So that's why that's the whole point of the process, right? The point of the process is to have a checklist to sort of outsource all of your tasks into a process, or a template that you could just like stick on this claim and this claim and this claim.
And it's always the same, whether it's a water claim or a hail claim or wind claim or whatever it is.
Exactly.
It has to always be the same.
Yep.
And I think, especially for new adjusters, is they get this process and it's all great on paper. And you can come to, veteran adjusting school for 6 weeks and you're good. And that very first claim you get, everything goes out the door.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And until you get to the 20th, the 50th, the 100th claim, then you know if you're following the process. And you'll also be able to look back and say, oh, I quit doing step 3 like 25 claims ago. Well, there's a glitch in everything that's going on since that.
The #1 resource for damage identification books, trainings, and certifications is Hague Education. Not only that, but they provide building inspection and desk adjuster trainings and certifications for those as well. Get a discount on all books, tools, certifications, and other trainings with code AdjusterTV at checkout at HagueEducation.com.
You're not going to go make the money you can make in adjusting if you don't have that.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of, it's not that the work is hard. I mean, you're not out there with the pickaxe breaking rocks in the hot sun.
It's not as easy as Panda Express, though.
Right. You're not scooping rice into a bowl. You want orange chicken? Everybody wants orange chicken. So the consistency. So in other words, I feel like there's safety in the template, in the process.
Correct.
And being consistent.
Correct. And that's why you have templates, and that's why you have scope sheets, right? Now, I bet if I ask you, did you ever write your scope on a manila folder before? You would say never. But later on in my career, I started writing on manila folders, which I probably should have never. When I started, I met a guy that had a scope sheet. And I've had that scope sheet for 22 years.
Yeah.
And that was great. I used it a lot. And then I was too good to use it. And then my claims weren't as good. And I'd get confused and that kind of stuff. And so, I see it all the time, even with our former students.
Yeah.
When they call me, I'm like, well, did you do step 2, 3, and 4? No, I did step 2 and 7. So that should have been good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. So, and I think when we talk about consistency, it has a lot of benefits, right? So not only is it a benefit for the adjuster, field adjuster, desk adjuster, whatever role you got, because you're doing the same thing over and over again, and it starts to groove into like driving a stick shift.
Correct.
You drive from one end of the town to the other, and you don't.
It's a great analogy.
You don't remember changing gears once, right? Yeah. So you have the checklists and the cheat sheets and the tick sheets and all that stuff, and at some point that stuff becomes so ingrained that you could take away those tools and you could still run the claim. But again, you're outsourcing, holding on to a long checklist out of your brain onto an actual checklist, which helps you. And then it helps file review, right? And
your own file review.
Right? So when you review your own files, and the file reviewer who's the gatekeeper to whether you get paid on that claim or not, right? And whether the insured gets paid,
correct?
Right?
Correct.
So if you can't get through that, if you keep running into that wall because you're inconsistent, or they can't find, the picture may be in there to back up what you said about the fence, but it's randomly scattered somewhere in 600 photos, and they can't find it. They're not going to spend hours looking for this photo. They're either going to take your word for it, which is probably not, or they're going to kick it back and say, hey, you said you're doing a repair on the fence. There's no pictures of the fence.
And then what's the adjuster do? He writes back and says, that photo's in there.
Yeah, exactly. Photo
437 when it should be 222.
Exactly. So, and the file reviewers, they'll learn your name real quick.
Very much so.
Whether you're good or bad, right?
Very much so.
Because they'll know, like, if I see Jeff Snyder's, files in my queue as a file reviewer, I'm like, those are going to take. There's 8 of them in there. It's going to take me 10 minutes to do all 8 of those.
Right.
But then I see this other guy, and it's going to take me 2 hours to do one.
It's so funny. I talk to file reviewers all the time, and they'll say exactly that.
Yeah.
That guy, I can get through his file, his photo report, his estimate, and his written report all flow, and there's a process to all of that. And I can get through that in 20 minutes. And Jeff Snyder, I don't even know who he is. I think he went to my school, but I'm not sure. No. Jeff Snyder, that turns in, you got this claim, you have the risk photo and then the exterior and then the roof. The next claim, you have the risk photo, the roof, and then the exterior. And the next one, you have the contents mixed in with all of the rest of that stuff, or the fence is mixed in with all the rest of that stuff. And it takes them time.
Yep.
That name is on their brain, and so is the other one. And so what are they saying to the dispatchers?
Yeah.
You need to give this guy more claims and quit giving that guy claims.
There is only one company that provides E&O and general liability insurance solely to the claims industry, and that's Kaplik. And they even have drone and cyber coverages. Download the free guide all about the different kinds of insurance that you as an adjuster should carry at cplic.net/adjustertv.
It amazes me with our graduates how, and I think I was telling you this the other night, they'll get one claim. Once they get started, you're only going to get one claim. Don't go out there and say, I want claims. So you're going to get one claim, and they're going to see how you make that contact. They're going to see how you turn that claim. And then they're going to review that claim and see how easy it is for them to review that claim. And then maybe you get 2, right? And then maybe you get 4. And one of our guys in California got one claim. And then I think his second claim, he had to drive 200 miles on a no mileage claim. $150. He was like, yes. Right? Didn't say a word, just took it.
Just take it. Yeah.
took it, and then went out, ran that claim, came back. A couple days later, he gets a couple claims. Well, within 3 weeks, he's getting 8 and 10 claims a week. I guarantee you, Jeff Schneider's sitting over there wondering why it's so slow. It's the nature of the beast.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. The people that produce are going to be the ones, and for that
The
production.
people that make it easy for the ones above them are the ones that are going to get
Yes.
more claims,
Exactly.
right? Because if they need to send you 200 miles for something, that's because everybody else said no.
Yep.
And somebody has to do that claim.
Yeah.
You know,
It's got to be done.
It's always amazed me that adjusters think it's all about them when that IA firm has a national contract,
Yep.
right, with whoever, right? And so if they start saying no to the claims that are 200 miles away, then they're going to lose that national contract. Well, I'm whining about $150. They're thinking about $15 million at the end of the year.
Yeah. Exactly.
Somebody has to do that claim.
Yeah.
And it might as well be you because they will always remember it, right? Especially new adjusters, and it happens from our graduates too, is, well, I'm not going to do that. Well, then you're not going to work.
Yeah.
As soon as you say no, you're not going to work. But if you say yes enough times, they're going to remember that, and then they're going to start giving Jeff Schneider that claim 200 miles away. See what he says. It's not like they're going to, oh, I did it once, so they're going to send me there every day for the next 6 months.
Are you ready for the fastest path to a 6-figure income? Learn how in this next video.